Despite Beijing's verbal backing for Moscow, Chinese businesses have shied away from the country for fear of being caught up in Western sanctions. DJI, the world's largest commercial drone manufacturer, has halted activities in Russia and Ukraine to become the first major Chinese corporation to publicly abandon the markets over a conflict that Beijing refuses to denounce. The privately held Shenzhen-based firm said in a statement on Tuesday that it was conducting an internal compliance review and that it would temporarily suspend operations in both countries pending the results. It wasn't clear what prompted the decision, which was described as not a message targeting any particular country, but rather a comment about our ideals by a corporate official to Chinese media. The Russian invasion of Ukraine has raised concerns that Beijing's tight geopolitical ties with Moscow could stymie DJI's attempts to prevent its equipment from being utilized by the Russian army. The invasion of Ukraine by Russian President Vladimir Putin has put many Chinese businesses in a bind. Beijing's official attitude is to profess impartiality while sustaining rhetorical support for Russia and a regular commercial relationship with its expanding geopolitical and trading partner, a potential lifeline for Russia's economy under US and allied sanctions. However, if Chinese corporations with global reach continue to do business in Russia, they risk losing access to far more vital markets in North America and Europe if secondary sanctions imposed by Western countries are imposed. Most Chinese enterprises with a foothold in Russia have opted to keep their ambitions hidden, while others have quietly modified their operations to reduce their exposure to the Russian market. Mikhailo Fedorov, Ukraine's vice prime minister, wrote an open letter to DJI CEO Frank Wang in March, urging him to stop dealing with Russia and saying that the Russian army was just using DJI devices to guide missiles. Ukrainian officials also have expressed alarm over DJI's Aeroscope's system's apparent failure to disclose the location of surrounding drones and their pilots. Some have claimed that the system was altered on purpose to allow Russian-flew drones to avoid Ukrainian radar. DJI has refuted the allegations, claiming that the Aeroscope feature cannot be disabled and offering to put up geofencing to prevent all DJI drones from flying across Ukraine, regardless of who is controlling them. DJI issued a statement last week stating that it doesn't market or sell devices for military use and that it will not customize or authorize modifications that would permit our equipment for military use. Chinese enterprises try to reduce their visibility in Russia and counter domestic opposition from Chinese nationalists who have worked hard to strengthen the Russian-Chinese alliance in the face of Western pressure. Those who accused ride-hailing firm Didi of abandoning China's ally in a time of need reacted angrily when the company announced it was suspending its ambitions in Russia early in the war. The corporation later changed its mind. DJI's decision has received a relatively subdued response over the past month, in part because critics perceived it as a fair and balanced reflection of China's official stance of not taking sides. This way, DJI said it's not aiding either side. One of the most popular comments about the report on Chinese microblog Weibo read, "Therefore, if there are still signs of DJI on the battlefields, then it's nothing to do with DJI." Nonetheless, some nationalist critics were disappointed by DJI's apparent capitulation to international pressure. When asked why the statement was first released in English, DJI Public Relations Director Shi Tiandi said the internal review was a minor matter and not worth mentioning, but he felt obligated to make a Chinese statement after seeing erroneous commentary on the platform. If you've liked what you've seen so far, make sure to subscribe. Ukraine also claims that troops defending Kharkiv, the country's second-largest city, have pushed Russian forces away and advanced as far as the Russian border. On Monday, fighting was reported near Kharkiv as part of our counteroffensive, according to Interior Ministry advisor Vadim Denisenko. "It can't be stopped any longer. We can now move to the rear of the Russian army group," Denisenko explained. On Sunday, the Ukrainian Defense Ministry posted a video to Facebook purporting to show a handful of Ukrainian soldiers manning a border checkpoint. On the Telegram messaging platform, Kharkiv Regional Governor Oleh Sinegubov wrote that forces had retaken control of the area. "We applaud everyone who liberates Ukraine from Russian occupiers while sacrificing their lives," Sinegubov stated. "Together to triumph," the Defense Ministry announced after the 227th Battalion of the 127th Brigade of Ukraine's Territorial Defense Forces reached the Russian border. The claim cannot be verified immediately by Al Jazeera. If true, it means the Ukrainian counteroffensive is eliminating Russian forces from the northeast with greater success. We also take a look at the major developments as the Russia-Ukraine conflict enters its 83rd day. On Tuesday, May 17th, Here are the major developments so far. More than 260 Ukrainian forces have been relocated from the Azovstal steel mill in Mariupol to Russian-controlled territory, according to Ukraine's deputy defense minister, with operations to rescue the remaining men continuing. Ukrainian officials claimed explosions rocked the western city of Lviv, and a Russian attack damaged a military base near Poland's border. According to the Air Force, 3 cruise missiles were shot down by the country's air defense in the Lviv region. According to Ukraine's Joint Forces Task Force, Russian shelling killed 20 people in the Donetsk and Luhansk areas. According to Regional Governor Roman Starovoy, a village in Russia's western province of Kursk, which borders Ukraine, was targeted by Ukrainian fire. There were no injuries, but 3 homes and a school were damaged. 3 more civilians' remains were discovered near a village in the Bucha region, north of Ukraine's capital, Kiev, according to regional authorities. Hundreds of people were killed by Russian soldiers as they withdrew from the territory more than 2 months ago, according to Ukraine. The charges are denied by Russia. According to the Russian-backed government of the so-called Donetsk People's Republic, Ukrainian troops bombarded a residential neighborhood in the Petrovsky district, Russian state news agency RIA said. According to the governor of the Sumy region, a Russian missile attack hit civilian objectives in the city of Oktyrka, hurting at least 5 persons. Sweden has joined Finland in formally agreeing to apply for NATO membership, ending over more than 200 years of military non-alignment in the country. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan stated that Turkey cannot say yes to Finland and Sweden's NATO request. Reversing prior pronouncements, Russian President Vladimir Putin stated that Russia has no objections to Finland and Sweden enlisting in the military alliance. Sweden's serious decision to ask for NATO membership, according to Japan's main government spokesman. The U.S. Senate has approved an additional $40 billion in aid to Ukraine. The bill is anticipated to be voted on later this week. Francesco Rocca, the head of the Red Cross, accused Europe of having double standards in accepting Ukrainians fleeing Russia's invasion, but refusing to take refugees fleeing conflict in Africa, the Middle East, and elsewhere. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko urged members of a Russian-led military coalition to join, accusing the West of backing Nazi ideologies and prolonging the Ukraine crisis. Foreign ministers from the European Union failed to persuade Hungary to waive its veto on a suggested oil embargo on Russia. Finance Minister Christian Lindner said Germany is open to the notion of taking Russian state assets to fund Ukraine's rehabilitation. Ukraine's grain exports delayed at Black Sea ports could be channeled through Poland, according to Poland's agricultural minister. After the war in Ukraine disrupted the flow of wheat, barley, sunflower oil, and other necessities, raising already high global food prices, U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen will outline an action plan to achieve global food security. The EU has given corporations permission to buy Russian gas without violating sanctions, suggesting a softer position in the ongoing energy supply dispute with Moscow. McDonald's has announced the sale of its Russian operations, claiming that the country is no longer feasible, nor is it congruent with McDonald's ideals. In Russia, the corporation employs 62,000 people and operates 850 restaurants. Officials from Ukraine have previously expressed concerns about Mr. Putin's mental and physical well-being and declared their certainty that they will eventually prevail, but none have been as explicit and spelled out a timescale for victory, indicating their growing confidence on the battlefield. And that concludes today's video. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more such exciting content.